Welcome back. Let's take a look at the fourth exercise for Chapter 1. We're dealing with exercise 1-12, in which we are required to prepare a balance sheet and statement of cash flow. Now, these two statements are interconnected, and I will explain how they're interconnected. So I have the skeletal layout of the statement of cash flow and the balance sheet. So let me go over that first quickly. In the balance sheet, we have assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. You start out with the header, which has the name of the company, name of the statement. Balance sheet is always as of a particular date. It's December 31st, 2024. Statement of cash flow has the three sections as we've seen before. Name of the company, name of the statement. This is always for a period ended. In this case, it's for the year ended December 31st, 2024. So we are operating, investing, and financing activities. Okay. So they've given us all the information for the balance sheet, assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. This is a very simple exercise. We just need to plug the numbers in place. Now, assets, you have cash, supplies, prepaid insurance, and building. And these assets have been listed in the order of liquidity, most liquid to least liquid, which is how you want it in the balance sheet. So I just bring all of these numbers over here. So I will start with my cash, supplies, prepaid insurance. So I just list out all these numbers over here. Nothing more to be done there. Okay, and then over here at the bottom, I have total assets, and I just added up all those numbers. Total assets is 85,000. Liabilities. Now let's see what we have over here. Liabilities and owner's equity. Accounts payable, salaries payable, notes payable. The key over here is whenever you see the words payable, they're all liabilities. Accounts payable, salaries payable, notes payable. Let's look at these other two accounts, common stock and retained earnings. Now, if you recall from the previous exercises, these two belong to owner's equity. Common stock always has just two accounts, at least in our 201 class. As we go through the first 10 chapters, you're just going to see these two accounts, common stock and retained earnings. So I can go ahead and put the common stock and retained earnings, and I know that's all I have for equity. I know these three are liabilities because of the words payable. Subsequently, you'll see other liabilities that may not have the word payable, but we still know it's a liability. This time it's easy. I'm just going to list these account names. I'll list out all the amounts. 9,700, 3,500, and 20,000. That gives me total liabilities of 33,200. Common stock and retained earnings, the amounts are 40,000 and 11,800, and that adds up to 51,800 for my total stockholders' equity. Now, the balance sheet equation is total assets equals total liability and stockholders' equity. So let me add up my total liability and stockholders' equity over here. And that's this 33,200 and 51,800. And what you will see is it has to be equal to total assets. If it's not, my accounting equation is not in balance. I made a mistake somewhere. I need to go back and check where the mistake came from. Okay. So balance sheet, it's always as of a particular date. Assets, liabilities, owner's equity. Most students can recognize assets fairly easily. Equity, you have only two account names. So by default, the others all fall into liabilities. But as we go along the different chapters, you will learn to recognize what these accounts are, understand what they mean, and then classify them appropriately. Okay, so the balance sheet was relatively easy. Let's move on to our statement of cash flow. Statement of cash flow, we have cash inflows and outflows. They've told us what the inflows are or where we got the money from or who we got the money from. And the same thing for outflows. We have to classify them as operating, investing, or financing. So any money I receive from my customers is operating activity. Any money I pay to my employees or vendors, those are going to be my operating activities outflows. So I know that my cash collected from customers, collections from customers is an inflow. Payment to employees and payment to vendors, those are outflows. So I'll put those numbers in the inside column. I collected 60,000 from customers. I paid my employees 22,000, so I put that as a negative number. I paid my vendors. For supplies, you pay the vendors 4,000, and that leaves me with a net cash flow, I'm sorry, of 34,000. This is net cash inflows. That 34 is a net positive number. I borrowed from the bank. Definitely financing activity. Borrowing from the bank is a financing activity. I seem to have sale of investments is a investing activity. Purchase of building is an investing activity. Let me finish this section up over here. And that gives me net cash flow from investing activities. Let me put the amounts over there. And I have 52,000 as a net number here. Okay. I borrowed from the bank. That's cash inflow. Okay, so let me write that down first. Borrow from bank. Okay, this will also help if I change the color over here. Okay, so I'm going to insert a line over here. And I paid dividends. Let me write paid dividends. Okay, so when I borrow from the bank, borrowing from the bank 20,000, it's a cash inflow. I paid dividends, it's a cash outflow. 6,500. Okay. So my net cash flows from financing activities is going to be 20,000 minus 6,500, giving me, write that down, 13,500. Okay, once again, I'll recap real quickly over here. Any money I collect from customers is an operating activity inflow. Money I borrowed from the bank, it's a financing activity inflow. Sale of investments, that's a investing activity inflow. I made these payments to employees, operating activity, to my vendors for supplies, operating activities. Dividends is to owners, that's the equity holders, that's financing activity. And purchasing a building is an investing activity. Okay, now that I have these items all laid out over here, I've grouped them appropriately. You recall from the previous exercise, when I add up these three numbers, what I will get is the net change in cash. Change in cash, net change in cash, whatever we want to call it. What we're looking at over here is how did my cash flow, cash position change? Okay, so what I have is, let me see if this works. I've 34,000 positive number minus 52 and positive 13,500, giving me 4,500. Now, again, from the previous exercise, what you know is cash beginning balance. When you add that, you get the cash ending balance. Now, neither of that information has been given over here. So what you will see over here is I don't have this information over here. Now, when you're working on Connect, what happens is this 4,500 just populates down over here as cash ending balance. That is not the cash ending balance. The cash ending balance is 7,700. I got that from the balance sheet. This number, cash ending balance, because that's as of December 31st, 2024, that's 7,700. Okay. So if my cash ending balance is 7,700 and my cash decreased, how much did I start out with? More than or less than 7,700? It has to be more than. I started out with 12,200. My cash position changed. It went down by 4,500, leaving me with 7,700. Once again, I calculated the 4,500. These three numbers put together, Operating, investing, and financing activities put together gave me a negative 4,500. I know the 7,700. Therefore, I plug in this number, which means the plug number means I just calculate the number. Once again, let me write that down over here. Your beginning balance of cash plus change plus your net change equals ending balance of cash. Okay? So, beginning balance of cash was not given to you in this problem. You calculated the net change to be 4,500 or minus 4,500. You have the ending balance. Where did you get that from? It's in the balance sheet. It was given to you, 7,700. Therefore, you calculate the beginning balance. So when you work on the exercise and connect, make sure you take this, write this down separately over here and figure out what the beginning balance is. The minute you put in the beginning balance, then the ending balance will calculate to whatever it should be in your exercise. Remember on Connect, all of us get different numbers. So please do that very carefully. So with that, we are done with this exercise in which we've looked at the balance sheet and statement of cash flow. We'll next move on to the last exercise where we have various missing numbers we'll calculate.